Welcome to Sled Talk, where we love talking everything snowmobiles, from pulling the cord to pulling your hat off. This is the Christmas edition, and I'm not going to pull Steve's hat off. I hope he doesn't pull mine off. But anyways, it is Christmas. We've made it this far. There is a sprinkling of snow on the ground, and we are begging for a bunch more.
Yep, can't ride yet.
Yeah, can't ride yet, but we're getting closer. I am seeing pictures in other jurisdictions and other provinces and into the States where there's bucket loads of snow.
Yeah.
Share some, please.
Yeah, they're saying 10 to 15 centimeters of snow at our cottage this week.
Yeah.
Or next week.
Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping the same thing because I'm coming up to my usual ride at my cottage after Christmas. And me and Tanya go out there every year and put on a bunch of miles in Ontario.
Yeah.
And really enjoy that. One of the things that we want to get into today, which is a huge Christmas present from the snowmobiling, or from the Ontario government to the snowmobiling community. Make sure I get that right. Doug Ford, love him or hate him. I don't want to get into any of the political stuff because I just don't really care that much. But Doug Ford has given $4.9 million to the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs. The idea is for the clubs to be able to reopen all of their original trails. This is a $3.9 million investment above and beyond the $1 million that they've already allocated for infrastructure funding this year. OFC describes this as historic. It's great news. I'm telling you, anywhere in Canada, this would be great news. This investment reflects the importance of our system to communities, the economic impact of our trails, and the tremendous effort that has gone into ensuring snowmobiling remains a cornerstone of winter in the province, says somebody from the OFC. Snowmobiling runs on three things, and we've talked about this in the show, Steve. There's three things that matter: volunteers, landowners, and of course, permit revenues.
Yeah. Well, they must have done their homework and they know how much money snowmobiling brings into the province. And I read up something earlier this year where they were just showing, like, it was billions over Canada for between employment in the Bombardier and whatnot, just revenue to all the small towns, when you're stopping to buy food and stuff. And obviously the Ontario government thinks it brings in way more than $3.9 million.
Right.
So.
No, I would agree. We did talk about that, and was it like $20 billion?
It was huge. It blew me away. I didn't think it would possibly be that much. Well, at our level, all you think of it is you roll into a gas station or a restaurant and you're the only people there. Snowmobilers might be the only people there in the winter, and you see what that money's going into the little towns and stuff, right?
But you're dropping, say it's you, me, and a couple other people.
Yeah.
We walk into a restaurant, and by the time we're done with the restaurant, done with the gas station, we've probably dropped close to a couple $100 each.
Yeah, but that's all you see, though. You just see that little thing you're doing, right?
Right.
But I mean, manufacturing and parts and all the dealerships, and it's huge. I didn't think it was like the number you mentioned, that in the billions. Blew me away, but when you think about it, it probably is. Yeah.
So this, again, great on the Ontario government for recognizing this. One of the things, I am sure that here in Manitoba, Wob Canoe is a regular subscriber and follower of the show. If he isn't, I'm going to have a talk with him the next time I see him. But it'd be great to see this right across Canada, not just in Ontario, because, I've ridden in Quebec, and out in Quebec, the trails out there where we were phenomenal.
Right.
We were in the Laurentian Mountains. This is a number of years ago. But man, we had a great time. And again, speaking of tourism, so we flew out there. We had rented a chalet, rented snowmobiles, spent several days, but had a great time. Snowmobiling is a huge revenue creator, and one of these days it would be great to get someone on here from, say, Manitoba Tourism to talk about what they do, what it does here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that whatever goes on here can be extrapolated out to other jurisdictions, because you're right, $20 billion from snowmobiling back into an economy is a big nut.
Yeah, and you don't really see it promoted a lot in our area, really, right?
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
You were telling me something about Minnesota not long ago.
Going back to Ontario, they Apparently their trail passes are a little over $300, which is pretty expensive compared to us, eh?
Compared to us, well, we're about 150, give or take a few
But
dollars.
they have a vintage trail pass that knocks $100 off the price of their pass. That would be nice to see. And in Minnesota, snowmobiles 25 years or older are free on the trails.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I think...
Some kind of a incentive for the vintage machines around here would be awesome.
And I agree with that, because I think what we would see is vintage is a growing part of the sport.
Yeah, and it's a lot more family oriented. You know, you get the whole family out on a sled hitting into a little restaurant or whatever too,
But I can tell you from comments that I have received and things I read, and I'm sure you've read the same thing. I have one sled, I'm registering one sled, or I have 5 sleds, but I'm not registering all 5 of them because 3 of them are vintage.
Yeah. Well, I've got 20 vintage machines.
20.
And I have trail passes on my 3 riders.
Okay, so we're not talking about the entire fleet. We're just talking about the vintage sleds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got trail passes on 3 snowmobiles, and that's more than I even want to do.
Yeah.
But if I could get a reasonable priced vintage pass, I would certainly fit a couple of vintage passes on.
And I hear that from everybody because, like as an example, I got 2 non-vintage sleds that my daughter and I ride.
Yeah.
And they both have trail passes on them. And if my wife decided to join us and we had to buy a 3rd sled, that one would have it as well.
Right.
But if I had included a couple vintage sleds, I'd be thinking real hard about
something you only ride once or twice a year.
Yeah.
It's hard to want to put a $150 pass on. Plus, it might not even make one ride. And then you're towing it home and it doesn't go for the rest of the year.
I was going to say, you're probably, it's probably $2 a mile for that pass.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not going more than 75 miles.
I know, that's the thing.
For an entire season.
You're just out there having a bit of fun, and it's a great promotional thing too. Like, we've rolled into groups of new snowmobiles on our old ones, and they all come out to look at them and think that's the greatest thing in the world to see these machines out on the snow still. And it's just it actually promotes snowmobiling in a good way. Yeah. And I know I've talked about this before, but you remember when Inwood had their their derby where you didn't need a pass.
Right.
The snowmobiles you saw out on that trail that day were awesome, and they were snowmobiles that would have never come out on a trail.
And they're pulling cutters.
Old Articats with cutters, and the whole family, like mom and dad are on the snowmobile, the kids are in the cutter.
Yeah.
That was awesome to see.
And I think that's why there's that growing desire for the vintage sleds, is because families can do it.
Yeah.
They can afford it. They can enjoy it a little bit more.
Yeah.
If you've got little kids with you, you're not blasting along at 60 miles an hour down a groomed trail.
No.
Or however fast you're going. You're just kind of putting along.
Yeah.
And
maybe get to a warm shack, or maybe just find some place to have a little campfire or something.
And have some fun, cook up some hot dogs, call it a day. But years ago, I was listening to Randy Bachman's podcast, or his show, and he talked about how royalties were starting to wane, and then he said classic rock suddenly came along.
Yeah.
And it was just this infusion of cash for people like him and all the old rockers who had written all this music that were relying on mailbox money, which is the royalties, to come in, and how people just love classic rock. Yeah. And they still do. I mean, there's stations dedicated to it all over North America. That's what I listen to on my XM. But it's the same sort of, I don't want to call it a phenomenon, but this nostalgic enjoyment of these older sleds, and it is growing in popularity.
And you keep seeing, old pictures and stuff where it was the whole family or bunches of families out, and it wasn't even so much about the ride as it was just getting out with everybody and having some fun. And that's kind of appealing to me at my age than getting on my snowmobile and trying to ride 500 miles in a day nowadays. And I know a lot of people still want to, and that's great.
And more power to you.
That's where you need a nice trail, and you're getting your pass money for sure.
Yeah.
But vintage stuff's getting big. It would be sure nice to be a little incentive to get them out on the trails.
Well, I'm going to say the other part that goes with that is those older sleds, you can wrench yourself at home.
Yeah, you can, for sure.
You can pull a carburetor off, you can adjust it, you can fiddle around with things. These days, reprogramming fuel injection, like remapping your systems, you got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're inviting a ton of trouble. So they're much harder to, I'll say, tune.
Oh, yeah.
And play with.
Yeah.
Whereas the old ones, they were just... was very easy to adjust and try something and go, I don't like it, you know,
Yeah.
without a huge investment, you know, with reprogrammers and all that stuff's out there. I've got one, you've got one. But I mean, the old sleds are just much more pleasurable to work on.
One of our fun things is just on a weekend we drag a couple in here and just go through them and get them, spend the day getting them going, and we may not even get out for a ride. But we're just having some fun working on the old sleds.
And they run, they start.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take them for a ride, you could.
And they break down, and that's part of the adventure, you know?
Well, we've talked about all those breakdowns and things we've done over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, Steve.
Yeah.
We always talk about tech tips.
Yes, sir.
And we have created a tech tip section on the YouTube page.
Right.
So anyone that's looking for a Christmas present this year, so you want to do some of your own work as a present, Steve is glad to help out with some of his knowledge and shares it online.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're asking questions or making comments, we're always fairly quick to respond. So once you've subscribed, we want people subscribing and liking and sharing. There's opportunities to go in there and not just see tech tips, but we also have some fun stuff that gets created, because snowmobiling often is, as you said, it's the guys sitting in the room here.
Yeah.
And we're having a beer or two, and we're wrenching away, and we're bugging each other, or we're talking about the great song, or whatever, all the things that go on in the shop, and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So with that said, you wanted to talk about
Reverse.
reverse.
How many Polaris wedges are out there? Millions?
Well, I mean, being one of the best sleds ever made.
Most common, anyway. That's people go, there's more of them more of them still running. That's because there was 50 million made. They just made it forever. But
Well,
anyway.
and it worked great. I mean, you know what? When
Okay.
if you like putting chocolate chips in your cookies, you keep doing it.
That's okay. So they got a pretty simple reverse mechanism in their machine, and I struggled like crazy with one this week, where it would go forward fine, and every time you threw it in reverse, it would just buzz and it wouldn't move. And I had the chain case apart 4 or 5 times, and it's pretty simple, which was really frustrating. And the gears were all fine, and the splines were all good, and stuff like that. So I went online to do a little Googling just to try to find out some information. There's very little information. Even in the manuals, it was almost like, even in the service manuals, they call it a reverse kit. So I think it was a lot of times an option that was put on afterwards. But anyway.
Keep in mind, service manuals don't necessarily touch on things that happen 5 to 10 years after the sled's been built.
Yeah.
They're just about how to tune up and maintain your sled.
There was not much information on the reverse, and I was mostly just trying to figure out how to adjust the cables and whatnot.
Yep.
And so my Googling, I just found a ton of people with the same problem. Their machine wouldn't go into reverse. If it were into, like, it would just buzz in reverse and it wouldn't go. And they would say their chain tension is good, and they've checked all their gears and everything's good, and no one seemed to have
Bearings
an answer.
were good?
Bearings were good. No one seemed to have a good answer for it. So I realized there was a bunch of people having the same problem I was having. And what I found was there's a little metal chain retainer, they call it, that runs on the outside of the chain case, and it actually keeps the gear or the chain on the idler gear.
Right.
When you're going forward, there's no pressure on that gear, it just spins. When you go in reverse, it's such a small gear and it's only got a couple of teeth held into the chain that as soon as you go into reverse, it just pushes the chain off of its teeth every time. And Polaris put a metal plate on the outside of the chain case, really, really close to the chain, to prevent it from popping off.
Outside or inside?
On the outside of the chain, it's on.
Outside of the chain, but inside the chain case.
Inside the chain, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's just on the outside of the housing, so the chain hits it, and it can't come off the gears. It's forced to stay in place.
Does that thing wear out?
Yeah, mine was worn right through almost.
Right.
And so I took it off. I don't imagine you can buy that piece anywhere. I just cut out the section that was worn out, welded in a new little plate, put it back in the snowmobile, it worked great. But it's the first thing I'm going to look for now if there's an issue like that, is to check this little plate, this little metal plate.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to even really notice it was there.
Right.
Because it's in behind the chain and whatnot, sort of. And so it's just something to keep an eye on for sure.
Fantastic tip, because, like I say, sometimes it's those little simple things that are the hardest to find. Not everything's in a manual.
No.
Trust me on that, as we spent hours looking for a couple parts that I needed for my sled today. because not everything's in the manual.
No, and this thing actually, like, I was looking for a bad tooth or the gears weren't moving over and linking up properly.
Right.
And it just didn't work. So just to check that plate, make sure that little plate's not worn out. And then it's very easy to weld a piece in or fix it if it's not available. And that'll keep your chain on and you'll have reverse again.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
What about products, Steve?
Products. I wanted to ask you if you ever use scrapers on your sled.
I almost bought a set last year because my daughter's snowmobile was overheating.
Right.
And it's a 138 track on it. So it's not the super long track.
Yeah.
But it was overheating and I just couldn't get this thing to cool down, no matter what I was doing. And I had started riding it because I wanted to make sure that we were getting enough deep snow into the coolers. But what happened, it didn't need scratchers in the end. The thermostat had stuck open.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm good.
So it wasn't regulating itself down and allowing itself to cool, so it just kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter.
Right.
We finally got home, changed the thermostat, simple fix, and the sled started, operating properly.
Okay. I've never used them. I've never had the need for them on my snowmobiles. I've always liked to have a temperature gauge that I keep an eye on. And then if it's starting to get hot, you can pop in some powder and cool them off. But I've installed several sets for people. A lot of people swear by them.
A lot of people swear at them.
We've got the different scratchers available, like the wire scratchers and then the solid scratchers and stuff. I like the wire scratchers because you can go forwards and backwards. You don't have to worry about which direction you're going. They're not going to rip off your snowmobile.
Yep.
So
that would make sense because I would never buy a snowmobile without reverse. I mean,
and some scratchers are directional.
I've gotten to the point in life where if it doesn't have electric start and reverse, I'm probably not buying it. At least from a new sled point of view. If we go vintage, I get it. But the vintage sleds are super light. Who cares?
Yeah. So,
but
So I just wanted to mention that we have scratchers available and install several sets a year, and kind of get maybe people's input on scratchers.
Yeah.
I've never needed them. I've never had them, but I'm not into the big long track sleds either that have problems with the trails.
Manitoba, we truly don't need them.
And do you think they do much if you're out fishing and you got ice, like they're scratching along? I guess they do.
They must do something.
People,
That's one of those things you go online and people either love them or hate them.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I know on the big long, like the 144-inch tracks and that, it sounds like you almost is a must because they seem to get really hot.
Yeah, I guess so. So they're available. We got them. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I had for those.
That's all you've got?
Yes.
So Steve, from a Christmas point of view, what have you got going on this year? Where are you going riding? Are you doing any rides? Are you getting yourself a Christmas present? I know you've bought them all fall, but that doesn't really count.
I think if I do a Christmas present, it's just going to be trying to get one of my vintage sleds running.
Okay, take it for a little ride?
Take it for a ride for sure. I'm going to be working in here mostly through Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to try to get out to the cottage just after New Year's for a weekend of riding, if there's any snow down there yet. Yeah.
Well, remember years ago, we used to go riding, and this was more towards the New Year's side of things after Christmas, because we all had the family things going on, and as everyone does. But come New Year's and leading up to New Year's, we would go out to the White Shell. We had a cottage out there in the middle of nowhere. In fact, we talked about it in a previous episode where Jimmy got stuck in that bay and froze his sled into the
I think
slush.
it was the same weekend. It was one of those weekends.
It was probably one of those weekends.
Yeah.
But we used to get out there and we did these what we called snowmobile safaris.
Yeah.
And we all had they were new then, but they're vintage now.
Yeah, for sure.
Sleds, and the groom trails in that area were very few and far between.
Yeah, we were usually riding on portages.
Yeah, and going from lake to lake. You can get out onto a big lake and you can have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
But you're right, we would find the little portages and often breaking our own trails through there and breaking our sleds, and usually a motor popped every weekend, somebody's. And in fact, an old friend of mine that I've just kind of reconnected with recently, we got talking about that because he used to come out on those, and he had an old snow jet. Remember the old blue and white snow jets?
If this is the same person I'm thinking of, I think I spent half a day doubling him on my SRX after he blew up.
No, he rode it. How far did he get? I thought he made most of the trail back. That was one of those rides where we all got separated and somehow we all found our way home.
Oh, yeah.
But
we all got separated and everybody was mad at everybody else because
Yeah.
half the group was missing.
Because, like we've talked about in other videos, what we know to do now from a safety point of view, keeping an eye on each other,
Yeah.
we weren't so good at when we were young.
No, not at all.
We all got over it, a couple beers afterwards, and that kind of soothed the savage beast in the worst of them.
Yeah, those were fun rides.
Yeah, they really were, because again, it got back to, we were breaking trail.
Yeah.
We were breaking sleds.
Yeah.
And we had, the wives with us, and I don't think anyone had kids at the time.
No.
But it was just a fun ride because we didn't really go super far. It was a bit of a loop.
I think once or twice we ended up in Rennie, maybe, or something.
Maybe, yeah, different rides.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Big
would
White
get
Shell,
into
Little White Shell Lake.
yeah.
Forbes,
Echo,
Yeah.
like all through there, and just had a ball.
Yeah.
And those were the years. And again, that's where the nostalgia of the classic sleds come back in, and we don't need to go down that twice in a show. But yeah, that's what we used to do every year for New Year's.
Yeah.
It was just a ton of fun. And then of course we're back at the cottage and fire down on the bay and all the good stuff that, we just had a great time doing it.
That's why people want to get back on vintage snowmobiles. I know you said we're not going to go on about it anymore, but that's why, because those were good times.
Yeah, they certainly were, and great memories and all the things, as I say. So with that said, snowmobiling is all about performance. Whether it's an old sled or a new sled, we want our snowmobiles to perform.
Right.
We want them to start, we want them to finish a ride.
Right.
And Performance Supply is all about ensuring that you have a great snowmobiling season. Thank you for joining us for the Christmas show.
So I'm assuming this is coming up before Christmas since we're wearing hats.
Yes.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care. Thanks for subscribing. That's a nice present for us. So is sharing. So is commenting. So is liking. Those are all great Christmas presents. Please give us a present. Take care.